Hey, what's up everybody? It has been a while since I have done a product review. So we are going to get right into this product review right now. Here we go. Hey guys, my name is Jared. If you guys are new to my page, consider subscribing. I do a vlog. I also do tours of tiny dwellings, whether they're homes, vans, buses, whatever it may be. And sometimes I will do a product review. And I also am doing a build series about the new van that I'm sitting in right now, which is Ghost 2. I named my van Ghost, that's right. But today, let's dive into this massive power source. I'm probably gonna screw this up, but I'm gonna just call it BLUETTI. I'm just gonna call it BLUETTI, because honestly, I don't know how to pronounce this bad boy right here. The best way for me to kind of dive into this right at the top of the video is that you can compare this to probably what everybody in the States are used to, which are Goal Zeros. So this thing is pretty much like a Goal Zero. Now here are the things that I'm going to go over in this, because I actually spent a month with this thing to see how it would handle certain things. Now, you see me do other types of reviews on other products like this, and they've been smaller, and they've been more for maybe tent camping or something along those lines. This is really like a step up from that. This thing is massive. I get a lot of people asking me, how do I live in a car? Or how do I, you know, if I don't have the money for like the solar system that I have on my van, which is just crazy amounts of power. If I don't have, you know, something along those lines, something like this is right up your alley. Before I get into the specs with everybody, I am gonna go over the specs that are just listed here in the sheet, in this booklet that they obviously give with you. But I also am gonna go over what I've learned about it of recent. Right off the bat, I am going to tell you it's a 1500 watt hour. Now, I love it when companies actually give you the watt hour and not the amp hour. If you want to convert it to amp hours, it's about 125 amp hours. Now, the reason you like to give watt hours is because everything that you have that takes consumption is typically in watts, not amps. They might give you amps, but it's a lot easier for you to do the conversions if it's in watts. So instead of trying to convert everything in your head or writing it down or actually pulling out the Google calculator of, you know, switching amps to watts, I just feel it's a little bit easier to go off of watt hours than it is amp hours. That's all. But it's 1500 watt hours. Again, it's converted to roughly 125 amp hours. And that's all in this thing right here. The inverter, which is the only thing that I wish I would change on this thing, is about 1000 watts. Mostly everything on here is DC powered. So if you are familiar with types of power and things like that, I am just going to assume that you are for the sake of this video. The DC power and AC power. If you're going to use something for AC power, you are going to need to use the inverter. People always ask me, can I run this or can I run that off of this machine? If it's a microwave, I wouldn't do it. A microwave is typically 1000 watts. You could technically use one of them. I gotta check what, in the specs here, I gotta check what the surge is. It's sitting on my table and you guys can probably see that it's massive, right? So I am gonna measure it right here for you guys so you guys can understand how big it is. Going across is about 14.5 inches. The height of it is about 12.5 inches. And this width right here, the depth, whatever you want to call it, is about 6 3/4, 6.5 inches, okay? Those are just rough. I got my tape, and that's that. Okay, it's got plenty of ports. Honestly, everything is lit up right here by this LED screen right there. And I will bring the camera in so you guys can see that LED screen. So it gives you everything from input to input, and then as well as your DC and your AC outputs. Again, this is very self-explanatory. It's got obviously all the different USB ports, and it's even got a C drive. If people have like the newer phones, like I have the Google Pixel 2, that is a C drive port or a C port, whatever you want to call it, and that's actually right there. And it's already built in, which I'm so happy that like systems are now having that. It has a DC port right here, which is like a cigarette lighter port, which you got, you know, some devices charge off of or things like that. And then your input is just right there. What's beautiful about this input that I kind of learned, and I'm still I'm still in the learning process of it as well. This is going to go back to a comparison to a product like the Goal Zero, and this is only secondhand information because this is what was given to me by a company called Light Harvest Solar that actually ran this through a test for me. So I went to a festival recently, and I wanted to chart. I actually used this on my friend's 120 volt refrigerator. Now, if anybody understands the difference between a 12 volt refrigerator and a 120 volt refrigerator, 120 volt is what you would see in a house or a tiny house or something along those lines. And a 12 volt refrigerator is typically what you see in an off-grid van like mine. It's a little more expensive, but it runs off of 12 volt power, which is DC power, which happens to go directly off of the batteries, DC, direct current. Now, if you were to use an AC refrigerator, which is 120 volt, you need an inverter for that. So my friend had an AC refrigerator in her van. It was a cloudy day and she didn't want to run out her batteries inside of her van. So enter this guy. We let her refrigerator run off of this. I think it was for 36 hours straight. And it did deplete the battery in this, so I needed to charge it. So I gave it to my buddy Miles over at Light Harvest Solar, and I said, hey, do you mind charging this up? It was the next day at the festival was a sunny day, and I gave it to him, and he's like, well, you know, I typically can't charge these with the solar panels that I sell. So I asked him, what solar panels do you sell? Why are they different? And he said, companies like Renergy or Zamp Solar sell a certain type of solar cell, and he sells more of a commercial grade solar panel. And he said typically with these type of cells, they can't charge something like this, or they can't charge like a Goal Zero. So he's like, I'll give it a shot and see what I can do. He plugged it in and it charged. So you can actually use like top of the line solar panels, or you could even use those other company solar panels because both cells will work, and it can charge this up. All of the outlets and plugs and things like that come with it. So you can actually just use these right here that come with it. They came in the box and everything. Just plug it right into the outlet right there, and then you have your solar panel ports right there, and they plug right into a solar panel. It's seriously that easy. There's also a plug here if you want to plug it in to a wall charger. You can obviously plug it into a wall charger, so you can do either or. I know people are going to ask me this. Well, how long will this last off of it? Okay, it really depends on whatever that product is. So if you're going to ask me something, then please know how many watt hours or even amp hours that device is draining. My laptop probably takes about 45 watts because it's a gaming laptop. So I know I can convert. I already said at the beginning of the video that it takes a 1500 watt hours as the complete 100% charge on this thing. So if I was to take 45 and divide it into 1500 or whatever that is, then that's how many hours I can charge my laptop for. That's what I'm trying to say to you guys. Ugh. I will admit that this thing is heavy. I don't know how heavy it is, but I'm not about to get a hernia either. No, I'm just kidding. It is heavy, but it's also, in my opinion, it's worth it. I actually have a friend lives in a SUV tent. Those tents that are on top of the cars. They're pretty cool, by the way. I was telling her, I was like, this thing is right up your alley. Like, I'm about to give it to her. Crap, I should have given it to her. For somebody that's traveling around the country, that is perfect for you because this thing will charge every single device that you have. There is, I'm going to swing my table around because it's a lot easier that way. There are 2 AC outlets right there. They say again, it's all written right here for you guys. It's a 1000 watt inverter. So please, if you're going to plug in like an induction cooktop, you cannot run an induction cooktop off of this. It's 1000 watts. Induction cooktops are typically 16 to 1800 watts. So if I was to plug in my induction to this, I have a portable induction, it would overload this and it would blow the inverter. So please don't do that. Now there's safety precautions in here. You wouldn't kill the entire machine. It would just trip the breaker in there. But I'm just telling you, that's what's going down. I personally like the sleek look to it. I obviously love the color blue. Price point wise, I think they are retailing for like $1,300 or $1,400. So the price point on it is a little high, but if you go and look at like a Goal Zero, they are priced right there in the same ballpark. This would, I guess, would be considered like a Goal Zero 1500 because it's got 1500 watt hours. If I am correct with those numbers, I think that's what that is. So that's what this would be comparable to. I do recommend it. Again, it is expensive, but I also, if you're going to be using it in certain capacities, then absolutely. Like I said, you can hook up any type of solar panel right to it, run the wires into your van, or you can have one of those portable foldable panels, which are sold pretty much everywhere. You can get a little 100-watt one, and then you can put it outside, you can angle it towards the sun, and you can charge this bad boy up. And although I know a lot of people are going to ask me, how long does it take to charge? Well, guess what, guys? That really depends on the sun that day, if it's cloudy, the angle, the time of year, etc., and so forth. So it can be anywhere between 10 hours and 20 hours. I don't know. So just to go over the specs really quick, this is like very self-explanatory stuff, guys. I highly recommend you actually reading this. It comes in different languages, and the English, each one is only 10 pages long. So I would highly recommend you actually going into all of this. It does have a built-in charge controller. Again, it has a built-in inverter. It is a pure sine inverter. I love it. It even says like how to charge your product. There's like a whole thing right there. Sun to panel to system, then into your laptop. I think that's hilarious. Give it like idiot proof is really what it comes down to. Ghost proof. It looks like they have 23 error systems. It'll give you an E, it'll give you an error, so it'll tell you E, and then it'll tell you the number. But like, what's beautiful about it is you don't even need to call into anybody. They actually tell you in this little booklet how to fix the problem for each error that comes up. So if it was E003, that's a battery failure. Restart machine and charge it. Wow, that was really hard. E007, 007. Under temperature protection when charging the battery. Their solution. Wait for a while for it to heat up and then restart machine. I love how they make this thing idiot proof. Seriously, like, it's kind of common sense stuff, but seriously, like, a lot of us just don't think about it. So some specs that I'm just reading straight off of the book here. I already talked about the 1000-watt inverter. Oh, so earlier in the video I talked about a surge protection. It's typically when you like if you were to plug in a microwave, and like as soon as you hit start in a microwave, it says it's 1000 watts, but it'll typically do a little spike. Just like here, this is like a surge protector. I believe it's up to 1200 watts. So it doesn't, it's at 2 minutes. See that? And it tells you right here. So the surge protection in this inverter is 1200 watts for 2 minutes. Therefore, you can run up to 1200 watts on the inverter 2 minutes, and then it becomes a failure. I'm going to give you some input specs, which is kind of nice, and you know, it's nice to know. Your AC adapter charger, it's 42 volts, 160 watts. Your PV max input power, 500 watts. Your NPTT efficiency, 99.5%. Yes, that's the solar charging. That's off of solar charging. The MPTT is MPPT. The battery spec in here, it says it's a 1500 watt hour, which I've already said. It's an LG and then Li-ion battery cell, which is lithium ion. Oh, look at that. It gives me the dimensions. That was pretty damn close. 14.6 by 6.5 by 14.4. That's in inches. Want millimeters, I'll give them to you because people overseas, why not? 371.5, 165.4 by 364.7, that's millimeters. The net weight, 37.9, so 38 pounds. And and that's in kilograms, we'll go 17.2 kilograms. And lastly, they do give a warranty 12 months from the date of purchase, which is actually really nice. Again, that's what these guys do, okay? Do I recommend this product? That is a yes and a no. Do recommend it, but I don't recommend it if you're not going to use it to your benefit. And that, I know that's kind of like duh, common sense. If you're going to like, personally, I wouldn't buy a product like this for my van, because my power system is custom built for me and I can go off grid for days on end. Would I use this as an emergency backup source? Probably not for my van build, because it's just too big for me to store in the area that I'm in. Now, if I had like a low roof cargo van with a minimal build and I was just living out of it for a year and I needed something to just charge up, and maybe I had a panel on the roof, or I had a portable panel that I went camping with, or something along those lines, then yes, I would 100% get this. Again, there's so many people out there that ask me, Well, I don't really want to spend, I'm not going to give you my exact number on my power, but we'll say 15 grand plus on a power system. Well, instead of spending 15 grand, instead of spending 10 grand, instead of spending $5,000, you could pick this up for a little over $1,000 and then that would be fine. So again, I would recommend it if used properly, and I would not recommend it if you already have plans to spend 10 grand on a power system or 5 grand or whatever it may be. Is this a power system substitute? I absolutely think it is, but again, that is totally up to you, and I am not going to tell you how to run your life. So that is it for the review on this. All the links for this will be below. I believe it's an Amazon link. Check them out. I actually do like it. All right, guys, I will see you later.